Hello everyone, and welcome to Hill Street. Today's story is, there's a guy who stares at me through my windows, but I'm okay with it. If you end up enjoying this story, please leave a like. And if you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe and become a resident of Hill Street and let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get to this nightmare. I think I'm going crazy. My house is a small one for a 2-story house. It's located in the woods, a little off a trail that leads to a road where I have to keep my car parked. I've been posting on Reddit for a few years in my perspective, but for some reason, every time I leave and come home, it's like time never even passed, and my posts look like they were only seconds, maybe even minutes in distance from each other. It's this endless cycle, and I just want to add it to the list of all the insane things that keep happening to me. But it's just bothersome, and I need it to stop. I haven't been home for a few weeks now. It's been a while, and the last time I was there, I was burying my dead cat, which I didn't know was my cat at the time. I could have sworn the food in my house would all be expired and my potted aloe plant would be dead. But as I pulled up my car to the edge of the road and walked that 15-minute trail, I went to the front of my house and opened the door. It was unlocked, just the way I left it. It seemed like things only changed when I was actually home. I entered the house, and the kitchen light was still on, like that night I ran out of this godforsaken place that night. I can't even tell you why I left. They're watching, and though I can't hear them, I know they are there, and I refuse to say that damn safe word they told me to in order to let them in. The house was relatively dark, including the kitchen, so that was the first room I entered. The kitchen happened to have a back door made of glass. It would slide open and close with an easy tug, but when locked, it was impossible to move. I walked up to it and checked the lock. It was sealed shut, and there was a glue coating the inside of the knob you would usually turn to open it. Failing to get the door open, I gave up and turned to look for a weapon. I have grown paranoid about my safety recently, so I wanted something to protect myself. Nothing about this is paranormal. People call it that, and my mom even believes that I can see spirits or ghosts, or maybe angels. My younger brother, who everyone loves to call my little friend, always thought I was seeing imaginary things, and I just had a detailed mind. I'd like to believe that too, but that doesn't change the things around us that are organic and real. I can usually tell the difference from the sound they make. When the cats walk around my house all day, I know it's fake, because they only make sound when I don't see them, and the sound, feelings, and sight of them are never allowed to happen at the same time. When that weirdo walks around outside my house, I know it's real, because I can never hear him. My hearing is selective. I'm not hard of hearing. In fact, I've always had hearing better than my whole family. I could hear a pin fall on the floor if I'm clear-minded. But sometimes, whenever there's something weird but real happening, it doesn't make any sound, or maybe my ears decide to not pick it up. Living here in the woods was a choice I thought could help with that, but these imaginary things keep following me, getting in the way of what is real around me. While I was away from home, I was with my little brother who just turned 11. I usually just hang out with him away from my mom, since she never really liked spending time with me if it wasn't through long distance and letters sent in the mail. I took Mason, my little brother, around a small town I lived close to. It's a tourist town, so everything was expensive, but you had to see his face when he ate those dinner pancakes. It made every penny worth it. I was planning to take him back to my place to spend the night, but as I drove the familiar road, looking for that small opening where the trail was, I started to feel uneasy. "You okay, big bro?" Mason looked at me with a worried look, and I wondered if it would actually be okay for someone like me to watch over such an innocent kid for the night. I'm okay, Mason Jar." It was a weird nickname, but he always snorted at it. "Just a little tired." He nodded at me without another word. We looked out at the road before us as I drove through the dark. That's right, I almost forgot that we were driving. It slowly reached sunset, till the point of it getting darker and darker the closer we got to my house. It was odd, because the drive was at most half an hour, and we left the little town a little after 4 p.m., so it didn't make sense for it to get that dark that quickly. "We should be home soon. You can spend the night at my place, since it seems to be really late." Mason looked up at me, then to the road ahead. He looked at the trees and sky confused, but he didn't say anything to me. We finally reached the trail. I parked the car on the side of the road and pulled my keys out of the ignition. "Come on, Mason. It's a bit of a walk, but you'll be okay." I put the keys in my pocket, ready to hop out of the car, till I felt a hand grab my sleeve. It gripped me tightly, and I could feel the hand shake a little as it held on. "Wait!" I looked at Mason with a confused look, but then I remembered. Mason has an insane fear of the dark. "It's okay, Mason. I'll be next to you the whole time. It's a short walk. We can bring flashlights. I have some in the trunk." As I tried to calm Mason, he shook his head. "No, that's not it. I just want to know where we are." My puzzled look came back. "We're at the trail, the one that leads to my house." His brown eyes looked at me with desperation. "No, this isn't the trail. There's no trail there, only trees. Are you sure you're okay?" Of course I was okay, but instead of responding, I looked out of the car and around us. Sure enough, there was no trail. I must have stopped too soon or passed it while I wasn't looking. I put the key into the car and turned my lights on. Looking out, I tried to see if I parked too far ahead. This drew Mason's attention. "Maybe I should just call Mom." "No, it's fine. I'll just turn around and we'll trace our steps. It'll be..." Before I could finish talking, Mason screamed out and pulled himself back from me. I looked at him first, then to my window, thinking something outside spooked him. At the window there was nothing, but out in the woods across the road was a tall, skinny figure. It was all black, and it looked like a shadow, only thicker and standing on its own. It could have just been a person, like a hitchhiker. I rolled down my window and called out to them, hoping for a response. "Hey, late night, huh?" I'm not the most social person. From years of being called weird, I've learned habits to not talk to people, but I need Mason to see that this wasn't something to be afraid of. The person shifted as if turning around. They stood there for a moment, till deciding to walk closer into view. They stood at the very edge of the road, where the forest and blacktop met. Their shape was so hard to make out, as if they were only darkness following an outline. Something about them felt familiar, but I tried brushing it off. Mason reached out to pull on my sleeve again, but I didn't turn to face him. My eyes were fixated on that figure, as if I looked away, it would be gone forever. It was like a game of red light, green light. It felt like if I looked away, the figure would run at the speed of a race car and disappear into the night. Or worse, run up and kill me. "How you doing out there? Ain't it cold?" They still didn't respond. In fact, they took a step closer. They now stood on the road, just a few feet away from where I sat in my car. "Don't talk to it," I heard Mason whisper through his now quivering voice. I felt guilty for not reassuring him properly. I turned to face him, taking my eyes off the black shadow. He was shaking and curled up with his legs now up on the seat. I was going to tell him everything was okay, but suddenly, he pulled from me, backing so far into the side of the car, I thought the door would break off and he'd be running full speed down the road. Mason is just a hitchhiker, probably trying to find a way home. He shook his head in disagreement. "No, it's that weird man. Mom says you keep hallucinating. She said you think it up so much he must be real." Nice to know what Mom thinks of me at a time like this, but I wasn't going to let that get in the way of calming him down. "Yeah, well, I see a lot of things, so this wouldn't be the first time she said that. Now, I'm going to help that guy out. He's probably cold out there. You stay in the car and don't unlock the door unless I directly tell you to, okay?" He wanted to argue more, but I hopped out before he could. The air outside was freezing, and my long-sleeve shirt was too thin to pose any help. I looked at the tall figure and forced a smile. I had to be an adult here. "Hi. Sorry about Mason. He's the shy type. Can I help you with anything?" The figure tilted its head at me. I thought maybe the person was mute or couldn't hear me, so I tried again. "It's kind of cold out here. If you want, you can point me to the direction you need to go, and I can drive you there. Don't want no one freezing to death." I attempted to chuckle, but the joke wasn't seen as funny. The person just looked at me, their head tilted to look behind me at the car. Instead of responding, they shook their head no, then lifted their arm to the distant road ahead. They pointed what I assumed was a finger out to the road, then turned to face the direction and began walking towards it. Oh, okay. Safe travels then." I nervously smiled and tapped on the car window, Mason reaching over and unlocking the car door. Once I got in, I made sure to roll up all the windows and lock all the doors. What did he say? Mason looked up at me, with his legs still up on the seat. That's the thing. They didn't say anything. After that, the drive home was quiet. I ended up taking Mason back to my mom's place, letting him out to go inside on his own so I didn't have to hear her scold me about bringing him home so late. I drove back to the roads and went to the spot where the trail entered the forest. I was planning on exiting my car and going home to sleep on my couch, since the bedroom was occupied by other things. However, my nerves hit me too hard, and I drove back into town to spend the night at a motel. The next morning, things felt better. I went around town and did some paperwork that was overdue. I had to leave the area again though, for more stay away from home time for a few days. But nothing relatively weird happened during that time. I just got home again today, and the place is exactly how I left it. Well, I'm not sure about the second floor. I don't go up there anymore. It's 11 p.m., and that damn tall weirdo finally came up to the back door, like he did last night too. The same damn shadow man that scared my brother that night. The same one that continues to be a tall, creepy menace. He's at the back door right now, staring in at me as I type this out. If he had eyes, that is. I wonder what it would feel like to touch him. Would it be like skin? Or would my hand slip in like he was a dark void? I don't plan to find out. I'm comfortable with him being a weird thing I conjured up to stare at me through windows. Because maybe that encounter with that stranger on the road actually scared me, and it was just some normal guy. But now, I just see him as some tall shadow man that taps on my window. But my imaginations are much more realistic than him, so it's always different to see him at night, especially since I've never had hallucination that actually breathed like him. I know this because he gets really close to the windows. The glass fogs up from where I assume his mouth would be. I've decided he should have a name, since he doesn't seem to be leaving anytime soon. I'll try coming up with one, but until then, at least I have another face hanging around this lonely house.